when someone's experiencing really a tense emotion, they're in a moment of really heavy emotion, I'm asking you, do you really feel like you know how to handle it? First, think about how you are currently handling it. If your loved one is feeling a very intense emotion, whether it's sadness, anger, fear, anxiety, whatever it is, think about what you're currently doing and whether or not it works. And by the way, if you're very effective at having emotional intelligence and effectively responding to loved ones when they're in intense emotion, by all means, don't listen to a word I say. But think about, maybe there's some things that you're doing that don't work. What I do with my partner, if my partner is feeling very intense emotion, my first instinct is I want to fix this. Whatever problem is happening, I want to fix it. So my initial reaction is not to actually attend to the feeling. It's to fix the problem because, oh my gosh, I want this feeling to go away. The stereotype is that men will typically do that. I think men and women both do that. It looks different. With men, we want to get into the analytical piece and fix the problem while ignoring the emotion. With women, it might show up as, and again, stereotypes, whatever. It might show up as rescuing the feeling. And I've seen time and time again, a parent, oftentimes a mother, if they see their child get upset and emotional, they want to stop it, so they take on the emotion. They get even more upset. And then the kid, seeing their mom totally upset, will then flip off that switch and then try to reassure their mom and comfort their mother. A lot of family dynamic stuff can happen, but that's just another way of fixing it, of fixing the emotion. Whether you try to tackle it through the problem or while you try to absorb the emotion so that your loved one doesn't have to feel it. You take the emotion from them. I hope these sound, I hope it doesn't sound too familiar, but human nature, these are the kinds of things we do because we just may not just be comfortable with other people when they're upset. So take a look at how you handle it. And some other ways that you may handle it that may not be working is if you shut down. Maybe you tell someone there's no reason to be anxious, there's no reason to be sad. I would suggest that's not really helping because you're basically saying your feelings are totally invalid and then the other person thinks they're crazy. So we don't want to do that. But again, I have empathy for that because that comes from a place of feeling uncomfortable around the feeling. And you may find that maybe there's some feelings that you're uncomfortable experiencing yourself, and maybe there's some feelings you're uncomfortable being around. And chances are, if someone, like for instance, if someone you love is crying and you're not comfortable with it, there's probably something going on inside you that you're not comfortable with sadness, period, or you don't want to face your own sadness. So there's a lot of going on, a lot of tangled weaves here. So take real stock of how you respond when someone's experiencing intense fear, intense sadness, and how you respond to it. And I want you to realize that your response may have more to do with you than it does with them. So that's the first thing, to figure out what your initial reaction is and is it working. I found myself in many situations where my partner would be in an emotional distress. I would try to go and fix the problem, not the effective way to handle it. And maybe just maybe, I do get the person to successfully stop being in that emotional process, and I think everything is fine and dandy. And the next day, boom, we're all upset again and we're fighting. And I'm trying to figure out what the heck is happening. And part of it is because I was, not being effective in the actual relationship and dealing with the other person's feelings. So let's shift to what you can do. One is just shutting up and listening, just really listening to the other person. And two is finding out what help means to that person. So let's do the first one of just listening. You may find that if you're with someone and they're expressing a lot of fear in the moment, it's natural for the first thing you do to go think about your own fear and start thinking about something that you're afraid of or angry about or sad about. And then your response is talking about yourself. I've seen conversations where two people aren't really having a conversation. They're just competing to see who's the saddest, who's the angriest, who's the most anxious, back and forth, back and forth. And what happens is when you start doing that, when you go there in your mind, you stopped listening to the other person. So you really have no idea anymore what is going on with them, because you're now thinking about your own situation, your own fear, your own sadness, etc. So just sit there and listening to the other person and fully taking it in and understanding what they're experiencing and just being present. It's very, very powerful. And it's going to come uncomfortable, especially to men. Especially to men, for us to just sit there and just to listen and just to be present without trying to fix it, without trying to grab a tissue, without just going for a hug. We go for a hug, by the way, maybe to comfort, but maybe we go for the hug because we want the crying to stop. Please stop crying. Hug you. Please, please, please stop crying. It's not effective. It's not really attending to the person. So just sitting there listening. I've done at this point probably hundreds of sessions with couples, married or otherwise, where and by the way, in crisis. So it's not just that the marriage is bad or the couple is having a lot of conflict. There is literally a major crisis happening in the relationship and outside the relationship all at once. And if I get them in a room, and if I can just get them to just shut up and just listen to each other, one after another, taking turns and just listening to each other, it's a complete game changer. They left my office and they're in a totally different world. Everyone's crying, and then they go to Chili's, and they eat mediocre food. So it's I know it's effective because I've seen it done many, many times. And it sounds so simple, and yet I think it's difficult for most people to do. And even if you are able to sit in silence and presence with another person, it's difficult to not go into your head and turn inward and thinking about your own stuff. Or thinking about what do I do, 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 versus just being there and being present. The second thing is really knowing how you're going to help the other person. And my suggestion is, rather than, doing all these experiments, let me try this, let me try this, let me try this, let me try this, you could just simply ask. Just ask in the moment, what do you need? It's very important you say, what do you need, over what do you need from me? Or how can I help? Because when you say it that way, you're making you a requirement to the person processing their feelings. You may or may not have anything to do with it. But when you ask the question in the style of what do you need, you're letting them really choose what truly, truly, truly they need in that moment, whether it involves you or not. And it's okay if it doesn't involve you. Because the feeling state may have nothing to do with you, and maybe they don't need you to fix it. Maybe they just wanted to express it to you. So asking the person what they truly need. And don't be surprised, oftentimes I know when I get really, really anxious, I don't know what I need. I don't know. I'm like spinning. So to learn what your partner needs when, if they're having intense emotions, might be good just to ask during a time of calm. Go, hey, a couple days ago, I know you're really upset. And we talked. I'm glad you're feeling better. I was curious. I don't know how to help you. I don't know what I can do in that moment. So I'm just curious, like in that moment, what do you need? So just asking the question and really paying attention. And you may find that sometimes people just need to be heard. Like you don't have to do anything. You don't have to fix anything. You don't have to make the tears go away. All you got to do is be there and to just listen. Sometimes people want to be understood. Sometimes people want encouragement, reassurance, validated, told that their feelings are validated. Sometimes it's all they need. And again, we don't want to tell them that there's no reason to feel that way. We don't want to try to stop the emotion as quickly as possible. Like handing them a tissue. I've done groups, counseling groups where there'll be a tissue box and I'll put it far away. Because I see people will be very, very quick to hand someone a tissue. And I know they think they're helping. I know that. Their heart's pure, they think they're helping, and they're also not comfortable with the emotion and they want it to stop. Versus letting the process go where it needs to go. Big takeaway, listen to your loved ones. Ask them what they need, not what they need from you, but what they need. And just connect on the feeling. You do that, you're going to see some pretty powerful stuff happen and really be able to help each other and help the loved ones around you. And be a powerful beacon of calm. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you for watching and listening, and I will see you soon.